Okay. Good morning, good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Bindaji, again for being with us and uh, actually taking, I would assume, tremendous effort to prepare so many classes for us. And it's so easy for us to come. I think sometimes we might forget the seriousness and the effort that you put in. So thank you so much for that. And is this going to, well, let me ask my question after I'm done speaking. We're very near the end of the second chapter. I'm not sure how much more there will be here, but this has been so important about something that, to my knowledge, and you can speak to this, Bindaji, Shankara really talks very little explicitly about bliss, but people know to look to this Upanishad to try to have an understanding. And from my view, what you've shared in the classes over the last couple of months is far beyond and different than most of us would be able to read into the commentaries ourselves. Venkat's pointed that out. So thank you so much. Just a couple quick announcements. Many people here know this, but if people are new or find this room by the replays, there's always rooms here on Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 8:30 p.m. IST, which this time of the year is the same as 11 a.m. Eastern time if you're on the other side of the world. And the replays are available here for this class, a few other Upanishads, and the Sunday meetings. However, you can find many more Upanishad classes that happen in the earlier days of Clubhouse on Bindo's YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. And those are also available under his name, which you can gather from looking at the profile on Apple, Amazon, and Spotify if uh, having a purely audio form is good for you. So we're very glad that you're here. We'll have the format where we'll close the chat and the hand raising so that we can really pay focused attention during the class. It goes about an hour, and then we have about an hour of question and answer afterwards. And the Sunday rooms are purely open discussion on Advaita. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much, Bindo, for doing this with us.
Thank you, Atmisha, for the introduction and the announcements. As usual, we'll start with the invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Muktiveda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Mantram of this Upanishad. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So we were in the comparison between what is a human maximum possible happiness we have is that of higher echelons of people who are not people, or lives which are like the Manushya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, etc., even up to the Hiranyagarbha. There was a discussion of that Asya Esha Ananda Shrotriyena Avrajinena Akamahata Cha Sarvataha Pratyasham Upalabhyate iti. That were the three important aspects of, which really gives us the taste of happiness, unconditioned, uncontaminated, or uncomparable to anything what is known to us. That is by bringing the three terms Shrotriya, Avrajinaha, Akamahata. Shrotriya means Shastra or the scriptures, one who has not only studied it but has understood the intended meaning and made as his own living principle. Not only that listening, we may listen to so many things, but we don't absorb them as our, duty to imbibe them in our day-to-day living. So Shrotriya, or as per the one who has studied the scriptures and understood what the scriptures are standing for, how they have to be understood, how that has to be put into practice, and what are the expectations, what are the do's and don'ts. All these things, one who lives by that, not only studies, preaches, but also lives by that, he is called a Shrotriya. Avrajinaha, the word Avrajinaha means Vrajinaha is the one who has got the fruits of action of bad activity, that is sin. In the other word, in the modern language, if you have to say that, the sins, the results of the sin. So Avrajinaha means one who is devoid of that. Means he is the one who is always doing things which do not incur sin and, the result of the sin to his life. Means he is a person who is straightforward, Samaritan, and who thinks about the well-being of all. And that exactly is that Sarva Prani, where he considers everything as his own, or he himself, or she herself. So one who cannot see a differentiation between him and others, or him and anything other than him, such a person can never differentiate in his activity, and therefore he doesn't do any sin. That is a person who is called Avrajinaha. But compared to these two, one who has well versed in scriptures and one who does not do any sinful activities, is the important aspect of Akamahata. Kamahata means, one who has been killed or burnt in the flame of desire. Akamahata means who has not got any desire which can taint him or touch him. So that is more important than the other two. Tasmad etani trini sadhanani tyavagamyate. Tatra shrotriya avrajino nitye akamahadatum utkrishya iti pragrishta sadhana avagamyate. This is what has been explained in the last class. One who has controlled or has got absolute mastery over desires. He cannot have the mastery of the desire just because he doesn't want to be indulged in it. No, that is not the mastery. The mastery is like the swimming. You can, write books and theses about swimming, but you yourself do not know how to enter water and swim across. Then you are not a master of swimming. You may have all the technology of hydro techniques, and you may have even the flow of water, etc. All those studies you could have done theoretically, but the proof is whether that is being able to be practiced by yourself. So one who has control over his desire is a person who is entrenched in day-to-day life. He is living like any other ordinary person, but he is neither swayed nor get upset by his desires or wants, which comes and goes, or which are appearing and disappearing in his life, day-to-day life. So he is a person who can be called Akamahata, means a person who is in the thick and thin of life. At the same time, nothing touches him, whether he gains anything or whether he loses anything. This is exactly the last part of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about Sidoshna Sukhet Samikritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo. One who, he is neither perturbed by the extreme heat or extreme cold. He knows that extreme hot and cold are the nature's way of, change of climate or fire and snow, etc. At the same time, Labha Jabho, whether he is winning or losing anything, neither the gain or nor the loss is affecting him. Such a person is a person who is called Akamahata, one who has not been burned down by the desires. So therefore, Ananda, the real Ananda, is being now referred to as that is not objective at all. We all know happiness in relation to we, the subject who enjoying the happiness, and the objects which are triggers or which show us the happiness or which brings us happiness, like Priya, Moda, Pramoda, which we discussed in detail like that. Priya is the liking of something which is not in our hand or which is far away. Moda is the proximity to it, brings higher happiness compared to knowing it, something is existing, but it becomes more enjoyable when it is in the range of our sense organs. But pramoda is when you consume it. When that consume it means when you are enjoying it by the sense organs making intimate with you. So these three type of happiness are only happiness which we are known as human beings. But here we are talking about a happiness which is not dependent upon anything outside external, but the happiness of being oneself, where there is no dependency on external things. Such a person is the one who is enjoying the ananda because he is neither pulled by the desires of externality or internal emotions, feelings and thoughts. He knows his true nature. That happiness is his nature. All the happiness which is otherwise from the Hiranyagarbha to the ordinary human being, everything is only a trace or a trickle of the ananda of one's own being in himself or his own swarupa or nature of oneself. So all these things are referred as Paramananda Swabhavika Advaitat. That what happiness which is enjoyed by the one who is well versed in scriptures, who has not done any sinful act and who has burnt all his desires by, understanding the nature of happiness, he remains in the extreme bliss, which is swabhavika, which is natural to oneself. It is not triggered or caused by anything. It is his nature. The problem for us is that we do not know such a happiness because we know only happiness in comparison. There is a duality requirement for us to enjoy happiness. But here is the place where a non-dual happiness, where you are in yourself or you enjoying yourself. No need of dependency on anything other than yourself. That is the swabhavika or advaitat, which because there is nothing second to it. Nothing second which is causing that happiness. It is being happiness in oneself. That is the Paramananda, what is being referred here. Now, moving further in the same Upanishads, what it says that is Yaschayam Purushe Yaschasa Aditye Sa Ekaha Saya Evam Vit Asman Lokat Pretya Edam Annamayam Atmanam Upasangramati Edam Pranamayam Atmanam Upasangramati Edam Manomayam Atmanam Upasangramati Edam Vijnanamayam Atmanam Upasangramati Edam Anandamayam Atmanam Upasangramati Tatapyesha Sloko Bhavati. So what does it say? Saha Yat Chayam Purushaha. Sakyachayam Purushe. What is there in this Purusha? It means in the individual being. Yaschasavu Aditya is the same what is there in the Aditya means the sun. What is there in the individual as it's his own nature. That is the same nature which here the word Aditya is being referred to as a reference, which we can see that the sun is the one which is giving life and maintaining life on planets. All the plant and animals, everything is living, breathing, enjoying food, etc., all because of presence of sun. So what is there in the individual living beings on the surface of the earth and what is there in that of the sun is the same. That unity. So this unity is being referred, Sa Ekaha. Both are one and the only one. This is being referred as with which the one who is understanding the scripture, this Upanishad, can make out that what is my nature is the nature of everyone whom I see and I transact with, including every objects in the world, with whether it be a microbe or a monocellular organism or the sun itself. From the sun to the minutest of things which can be seen in this world, everything is having the same self. That is the most important part. We are not talking about that they are the same. The sun is different, the moon is different, the earth, planet, other planets are different. They are all called Visheshana or the adjectives with which we differentiate because of the name and the form. But here is that aspect which is referred as Brahma or Atma, which is Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Anandam. That aspect of Brahma is the same whether it is the monocellular living being in the surface of the earth or on the blazing sun, which is miles and miles away from us. And what is the existence in the sun is the same existence of even the sand grain which we see on the surface of the earth, or even a molecule or a single atom which we see. Everything has the same existence, and that existence is the Satyam, which is referred as in the Brahma Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. Jnanam is the Jivata or the Chaitanyam, or is the existence or the consciousness or the awareness as existence itself. The existence is not a being alone, but it is a being of awareness also. So that way, what the Purusha here, the Purusha means the individual living being, and what is there in the sun, both are Sa Ekaha. Sa Evam Vit. One who knows this, he is a Brahma Vidapnodi Param, what has been said in the beginning of in the section 2 of this Upanishad. And then it talks about Asman Lokat Pretya, having left this world of perception or enjoyment. Then it is talking about Edam Anandamayam, Annamayam Atmanam Vasangramadi. He is transiting beyond the food sheath. He is transiting beyond the vital air sheath, like that. So let us look at how Shankaracharya is giving the intended meaning of these words in the Bhashya. Sa Yaschayam Purusha Iti means the Upanishad is talking about Sa Yaschayam Purusha. Yaha Guhayam Nihitaha Parame Vyomni Akashadi Karyam Srishtva Annamayandam Tadanu Pravishtaha Saha. So what is the Purusha who is talking about here? Yaha Guhayam Nihita. One which is residing in the bosom of the heart, and Parame Vyomni, also in the cosmos, or Vyomni here means Akasha, or the the space which is beyond the vision. Because the space is visible space is there, that is called Akasha. What is beyond the visible space, but in which the Akasha is also sitting, that is called the Parame Vyomni. The supreme space means the nature of Brahman itself. It is in the Brahman, the Akasha is also residing, and in the Akasha, everything else is residing. In the space, everything else is residing. So therefore, Parame Vyomni, which is also Nihidam Guhayam, Akashadi Karyam Srishtva. Then we said that Tat etasmad atmana akasha sambhuda is this statement which we studied in the beginning of the second chapter. From the Atma or Brahman, Akasha Sambhuda came the appearance or the name or the entity called Akasha, or the space, which is a visible space. Sat Srishtva Annamayantam, from that is Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, Annam. All those is Annamayantam. It means from starting with the Akasha, which is the first born or the first creation, from that to the Annamayantam. Tadeva Anupravishta. So this aspect also we had discussed. Having Tat Srishtva Tadeva Anupravishat. Having created the space, the existence, awareness and the consciousness on the infinity appears to have entered the Akasha, entered the space, entered the air, entered the fire, entered the water, entered the earth, entered the Annamayam, or the food sheath. Like that, it was explained in the beginning of the second chapter. It is not created something external to it. So when it created Akasha, Tadanu Pravishta, mean the word is that it entered the Akasha is the literal meaning. But here, having created, it entered is like what the Bhashyakara or the Shankaracharya mentioned, is that it is just like the pot having created inside the space enclosed the space in itself. So the space inside the pot has now become an enclosure compared to the space outside. But where did the pot come up to enclose the space within itself? It is in the Akasha itself. In the space itself, the pot came up to enclose the space inside it. Same way, the Atma or Brahman, having created Akasha Adi, from the Akasha to the monocellular things or the minutest micro thing in the whole creation, it created in itself. Having created in itself, it is present in everything as itself, because it cannot be separate from that. That is the same way the space is present inside the pot, in the body of the pot, and external to the pot. You cannot say that the space is bifurcated by the pot coming up into existence. Same way, from the Akasha to the minutest organism or the atoms which we can think about it, or even the today's modern world, even the smallest thing, quarks or boson jig, etc. The different scientific names are also, we are seeing it. We are not talking about getting into the science of aspect of, but I'm talking about every creation or everything that can be thought about creation, which is known and which is yet to be known. They all are in existence and in awareness. Because we do not know doesn't mean that they are not in awareness. Even that I don't know what is not existing is also in the knowledge. So therefore, that aspect of Satyajnanam Anandam is pervasive in such a way that everything has come up in itself. That is why we say that from the deep sleep when we wake up, the waker and the waking world is appearing to have been created or existing where it is in that which where the deep sleeper was present. There was no time and space. So the time and space and the objects of the creation is appearing in its own existence when they were not perceived as separate from itself. So this world which is now appearing in the waking, the object and the waker, or the world and the waker, is like the pot which has come up in the space, has come up as perceivable or experiential within that experience and existence where there was no separatedness. That when that separatedness was experienced or being projected, these came up as the subject and the object, whether you call it as a waking world or a dream world. So therefore, tadanu pravishta saha yaha iti nischiyate. That is exactly how one need to be. Nischiyate means to ascertain and convinced that this is how the Upanishad is trying us to make us understand. Ko asau ayam purushe. The question is being asked by the opponent. Who is that I am Purusha in residing in this Purusha or in this living being or in this individuality? Yaschasau Aditya. It is the same who is residing in the sun. Because everything is coming up inside that. And therefore, what is residing in the individual cannot be different from what is residing inside that of the sun. So, Yaschayam Purushe, Yaschasavaditye, the Upanishad statement is now being explained by Shankaracharya as that the statement by these two statements by the Upanishad is to make us understand that like that multiple pots coming up in space doesn't change the space or doesn't bifurcate the space, the individual appearing in that Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma or the sun appearing in the Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma do not make them two separate individuals or anything. They both are inside that Purusha. Therefore, Yaschas Ayam Purusha, Yaschasau Aditye. What is that? Yaha Paramanandaha. That is the by nature of Paramananda or the extreme happiness or the Satyajnanam Anandam or Anandam what we had been discussing about it. Shrotriya Pratyaksho Nirdishtaha is visible or is perceivable or is understood or becomes his nature one who is Shrotriya, one who has understood the meaning of the scriptures. And such a person is the Shrotriya Pratyaksha. This Paramananda of this extreme happiness or the absolute bliss, which is our nature, we are not able to perceive it because we are seeing duality, we are experiencing duality, we are experiencing multiplicity, and therefore the happiness which we know is triggered by the multiplicity or the duality. But the Shrotriya, one who has understood the nature of the intent of the scriptures and who has become avrajanaha akamahata, one who has overcome his desires to have separatedness. Such a person, for him, it is pratyaksha, means it is directly noble to him, is being nirdishta, is being now ordained by the scripture. Yasya ekadesham brahmadini bhutani sukharha sukharhani upajivanti. A trickle of that ananda, which is known to the Shrotriya, one who is well versed in the Shastra, Brahmajnani, or the one knower of Brahman. Yasya ekadesham, and part or a trickle or a minute aspect of that is what is sukharhani, as being the sukha or the happiness enjoyed by Brahmadini Bhutani. All the creations right from the Brahma, the creator onwards, to the every creation is eligible for the trickle of the happiness because they reside in this one. I am residing in Brahman, or I am Brahman. When I know I am residing in Brahman, still myself and Brahman are two different things. Therefore, Atmananda or Brahmananda is achievable or something which is separate from me. But for a Shostriya, one who has known the scriptures and who has Akamahata, one who has burnt all his pangs of desire, to him, he himself is Brahman. For him, he is Aham Brahmasmi. He is not separate from it. For such a person, it is not that he has a Sukha Arha. There is a happiness which is triggered by something else, but his happiness is Paramananda of his own nature. Saha yasyasau aditya iti nirdishyate. That is the Ananda or the nature of one's own self. Whether it is an individual or whether it is the sun, it is the one and the same. Sa ekaha. There is only one, because it is parame vyomni. It is in that everything else is appearing. So the nature, every drop of the paint has the substratum as the canvas. It is the same canvas which is supporting or holding every drop of the paint in the painting, or every drop of water is the same when you look at the water as a whole, or every object is appearing, sustained and living and cannot have an existence outside space. Now here we are talking about that space, Parame Vyomni, where this space is also included in it. But it is not spatial in nature, but it is the encompassing nature of that itself. That is why the word Brahman is being used. Brahman means Brihatvad, the one which can encompass everything. Nothing is outside it. Such a thing is the one which is the Purusha, which is being referred as what is present in the individual and what is there in the sun, and that is only one, Sa Ekaha. Now the question is being asked by the opponent, Yasyayam Dakshino Akshini iti tu yuktaha prasiddhatvad. In the other Upanishad, there is a thing, this Atma is residing in the right eye of the individual. Like that, in the earlier Upanishads where we studied has mentioned about it. So he is saying that here he is not, in this Upanishad, there is no mentioning that he is residing on the right eye of the individual. That is what is more known, well known to all those who have studied the Upanishads and the Vedas. Whereas here, nanuto nirdishyate sa yaschayam purushe iti avisheshataha adhyatmam na yuktaha nirdishyate. So what is that it is being said here is that due to non-specifying, avisheshat, specifying that it is residing in the right eye, this description in this Upanishad doesn't seem to be the right one, is the complaint by the opponent. Yascha ayam purusha iti prasiddha. That is the Dakshinashti Purusha is a prasiddha. So, Siddhanti or Acharya Shankara is saying, no, it is not that. Para adhikarat. It is the residing aspect. Adhikara here means the substratum. There the reference was different, where the Atma, the Ishvara entered through the top of the head and entered into the prana Atma. That is a time when it is that said he is residing in the right eye as a methodology for meditation. Whereas here, the context is totally different. Here we are talking about the nature of Brahman itself. Satyajnanam Anantam. And that there we are bringing the Anandam. Therefore, Para Adhikarat. Here we are talking about Para means extreme. Extreme substratum. It is not where this Atma is to be meditated upon, but what is being told here is that where you can see or you can experience or you can be in that external, extreme being by Brahmavid apnoti param. One who knows by the Brahman becomes one with the Brahman, he pervades the Brahman. So therefore the pervasiveness of Brahman is what is being referred here as paradhikarat. Paraha hi atma atra adhikritaha. Adrisye anatme etc. Vishasmat vada pavate sa esha anandasya mimamsa iti. So this prakarana or the context here is the one Atma atta adhikritaha means is being referred here as adrisye anatme, is not visible by or not knowable by the sense organs. Anatme, it is not dependent upon the sharira, etc. We studied that in detail. And Vishasmad Vadapavade, due to the controller being present there, the one who, or in the presence of this Brahman, even the wind, Vadapavade, the wind is supposed to be doing its job. Not only the wind, the whole nature is performing their duties only because they are inside the Brahman, and that is the supreme controller or the supreme one which is making everything appear and disappear, or their performances are also being controlled. Sa esha anandasya mimamsa ityadi. So here the vichara or the logical analysis of anandasya, the happiness which is familiar to us as an objective happiness, is being now negated by the mimamsa, by the thought or the vichara or the logics, where we are able to arrive at the paramananda, the total bliss, that nahi akasmat prakritehe yukto nirdishtam. So what he says that not by accident that it is this Upanishad is referring only about this Aditya and Purusha, etc. Paramatma Vijnanam cha Vivikshitam. It is the Vivaksha or the intended meaning of the Upanishad here is Paramatma Vijnanam. The nature or the knowledge through which one knows about the Paramananda, Paramatma or Brahman. The Supreme Brahman, what is it? That knowledge is what is intended by this Upanishad here, not for meditation. It is for the understanding what is the nature of Brahman that this Upanishad is being referred. Whereas in the place where the Dakshinashti Purusha, where the Atma is being meditated upon the right eye, is for meditation, whereas this is for the knowledge or conviction. Nididhyasana param is for the purpose of Nididhyasana. Tasmat para eva nirdishyate sa ekah iti. Therefore, tasmad para eva nirdishyate. It is that supreme nature of Brahman what is being referred here as it, and therefore the Upanishad says sa ekaha. There is only one. So that is the Advaitam which is being referred here by this Upanishad. Nanu eva anandasya mimamsa prakrita. Not just, the logical way in which we are looking at the Manishya Ananda to the Hiranyagarbha Ananda. There was a Mimamsa or a Vichara or the thinking process. What will be the 100 times the happiness of human being to the Gandharva, Manishya Gandharva, etc. That is not the intent what the Upanishad is here. The Upanishad is saying Sa Ekaha. There is only one which is present in the Manishya, present in the Manishya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva or Deva, Hiranyagarbha, Prajapati or whatever you name it, from the sun to the minutest or from the Akasha or from the supreme Akasha, Parame Vyomni, to the everything that is appearing inside, is being what is being referred here. For understanding what is that there is only one in which everything is appearing. Therefore, Paramatma Vijnanacha Vivakshitam. That is why the Vivaksha or the intended meaning of the Upanishad is for the knowledge, not for meditation of Paramatma. Tasmat para eva nirdishyate sa eka iti. Tasya api phalam upasamhartyam vavyam. Tasya api. Even that, when we are knowing the Vijnana, what is the purpose of the knowledge? Phalam upasamhartavyam. The result of that also has to be concluded. Abhinnaha swabhavikaha anandaha paramatma eva. That is the conclusion. That is abhinnaha. There is no differentiation. Bhinna means separate or differentiation. Undifferentiated, abhinnaha means you cannot make a differentiation that my happiness is bigger than that of the happiness of an ant or a mosquito or a microbe or the sun. None of them, a happiness of the nature of the self is the same, because we are all sharing the one and the only Sa Ekaha as our substratum in which we are appearing. Therefore, the substratum, which is the nature of happiness, cannot give separate happiness to me and separate happiness to the ant. If at all we are thinking that there is a separation, it is only due to the name and form and the adjectives which we are bringing it, not by this thing. The space in the small pot and the space in a big jar, the space is the nature of the space is not different, but the size of the space is different because of the size of the pot. It is not different from the point of the space, but from the condition under which we name it as a small pot to a big jar. That is the differentiation which we are making, but not the essence of the space which is there in the pot and that is in the jar. Therefore, that differentiation is coming from where? Vishaya Vishayi Sambandha Janita iti. All that is because Vishaya Vishayi, the subject and object, Sambandha Janita, because the relationship between the subject and object, we think that there is a differentiation in the level of happiness. When I get things which I want, I am happier. When I get things which are not required, I am not happier or happy. I feel sad. Or if something which is happy, giving me happiness is taken away from me, I beg sorrow. So this all is showing that there is a relationship, contact relationship between the subject and the object. Whereas the nature of happiness in which all of them appear wherever they are, whether it is within me or outside me or not owned by me or not owned by me. When I know that it is in me, the whole world is existing. So whether I own them or I don't own them, whether I find them liking or I don't find them liking, I have no control on the change of the nature of myself and the nature of everything. What I am making the differentiation is only Vishaya Vishayi Sambandha, or the differentiation between myself and the other objects from the name and form and my creation of the subject-object relationship. Therefore, Nanu tad anurupam eva ayam nirdeshaha. Therefore, here in this Upanishad, the nirdeshaha, the instruction from the Shastra, from the Upanishad, is tad anurupam, is according to the nature of the Vijnana, which we have to have, or the nature of knowledge which we are supposed to acquire by understanding the Upanishadic intent. Therefore, the Upanishad says, Sa ayischayam purushe yaschasau vaditye sa ekaha iti. That is why the Upanishad is making this statement, Sa aschayam purushe, in this individual, yaschasau aditye, what is there in the sun, sa ekaha, both are one and the same. This Advaitic statement by this Upanishad is the deal closure that there is no way you can separate between the objects, the subject and object. Both the subject and object are only creation of our own mind, not from the creation of the space or the Atma or the Paramananda. Iti. Binna adhikarana sta vishesho upamardena. So the Binna adhikaranasta. Adhikaranasta means located in the Binna, in separate, that is in me and in you. That Binna or the separation is Vishesha Upamardena. That can be only negated when I negate the Visheshnas or the adjectives with which I segregate myself from the rest of the things. That segregation is only depending upon the name and form, but not in the substratum in which we are all appearing. We are sharing the space. If the nature of the space is me, I am occupying the space inside and outside and being myself, is the same space which is being used by everything in this world. And without that space, neither can I have an existence nor the objects in the world can have an existence. When we are so much dependent upon that space, what to talk about the nature of the space, which is Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma. Therefore, Vishesha Upamardena, when I negate all these adjectives that I am and the world of objects, when I do that separation and negate all this differentiation, then only I can know that is only when the Vijnanam will become Paramatma Vijnanam. This knowledge of the supreme knowledge, or which makes me a jnani, which makes you a jnani, which makes everyone a jnani, is only when you imbibe, make it conviction of your own conviction that you are not what you think you are, not the body. Anatme, that word has to shine and to ring a bell in you. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. I am not anything what is known to me. I am the knower. And that knower can never know the knower, because in the knower, there is nothing to be known. The knower and the known becomes one and the same. That is the Paramatma Vijnanam what we are talking about. Nanu evam api adityadi vishesha grahanam anarthakam. So when we have the visheshanam, like adityadi, even if an iota of that dependency on the descriptions of the name and form, if it is there, sab anarthakam, that will be calamitous for us to consider that the separation which we are experiencing in the transactional world is a reality. If we consider that, then it will become a calamitous situation for us, and we will never be able to know that the true nature of ourselves, nor of everything. And therefore, idaram andaram kurute tata asta tasya bhayam bhavati. That is the reason why we all get into the war of words and ideologies, religion, color, space, countries, planets. Everything is because this Visheshana. We are not knowing, we are not seeing the unity in which all of them are threaded together. We are all dependent on each other. And our dependency is on the common substratum which is substantiating and supporting and making us exist. That existence, if it is taken away, we do not exist anymore. That is why it is saying that it is anarthagam. It will become calamitous for us to even consider that the dependency on the adjectives are important. So now anarthakam utkarsha apakarsha apohartatvad. It will not become calamitous when you negate that I am big, you are small, or you are big, I am small. Even if it is God is big, I am a servant to God. That type of even the utkarsha, apakarsha, that, differentiation between the separate two of the things being there, then it will become anarthagam. Otherwise, when you would do apohartam, when you negate that, anarthagam, it will not become calamitous for us. द्वैतस्य हि यो भूत ये मूर्त अमूर्त लक्षणस्य पर उत्कर्ष सवित्र अभ्यन्तर्गतः स चेत् पुरुषगत विशेष उपमर्देन परमानंद अपेक्षया समो भवति. द्वैतस्य हि या मूर्त अमूर्त लक्षणस्य. From the duality is the qualities, lakshana of murta amurta, means which is manifest and which is unmanifest. That type of a qualities which we are bringing up in the duality, para utkarsha, that is what is creating this superiority and inferiority. It's like the savitra andargataha. The sun is superior and, it is so much big, it is so powerful, it can burn down everything. That type of thing is also due to or the differentiation because which you are bringing in the adjectiveness or the qualifications of it. What makes the sun is the same thing what makes me as the individual. The same existence, Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma, that Brahma or the existence, awareness and the infinity or the bliss nature is present in every atom, every iota or everything what is being perceived with adjectives. So Dvaitasya hi murta amurta lakshanasya para utkarsha savitra andargataha sa chet purusha andargata vishesha upamardena. From the sun to the individual, whatever vishesha we are able to see or whatever the adjectives we are able to make the differentiation, tesham upamardena, by negating that, paramananda apeksha, with the desire to have the supreme happiness, which is our nature, samo bhavati, we become equals. The Purusha becomes equal to the sun. The individual and the sun, or the Jivatma and Paramatma, there is no difference. Even if you think that an iota of different, idara mandaram gurude atatasya bhayam bhavati, then will be afraid of God. God will be our powerful controller and I will be a servant. Whereas here Upanishad says that it is from the same thing which the God is also created the individual is also created, the world is created. It's a substratum for everything is just one and the same existence and awareness. That Satyajnanam Anandam is what is to be governed. Tamo bhavati. Na kaschit utkarsha apakarsho va gatam tam gatim gatasya ityabhyam pratishtam vindade iti upavannam. It is na kaschit utkarsha apakarsho va gatam. Word, when there is even kaschit, any type of utkarsha apakarsha, the greatness and inferiority, superiority and inferiority, vata gadam gatim gatam sya iti abhayam. When that is negated by all means, abhayam pradishtam vindade. One who negates and removes all these things, he is established himself. He is the one who is establishing himself in the abhaya pradishta. This is what Yajnavalkya tells to Janaka, abhayam praptosi. You have achieved the state of fearlessness or freedom. That freedom of me as an infinitesimal thing and the sun as infinitude is negated only when I am knowing my true nature, which is none different from that which is of the sun. We are both coming from the same substance. The world came, the waker came, the dream world came, the dreamer came. Everything is coming from the same substance. How can there be difference between these things? The substratum in which they are all appearing is the same. The dependency for each of them are the same. So how can there be differences? One who has negated these differences, idaram antaram gurude tata tatsya bhayam bhavati, but one who negates this antaram, dvaitam, this advaita, one who understands, abhayam pradishtam vindade, he establishes himself in the state of fearlessness. Iti upapannam is the concluding remark of the Upanishad. It is how we have to study this Upanishad. I stop here. We will continue the rest of the things in the next Wednesday. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Binduji. Everyone just be aware and be a moment patient. The chat is open, the hand raising is open, and if we can at least give first priority to questions that directly relate to today's class. This was such a really something that you've been building towards for several weeks in the classes. So thank you so much. But other questions about the class are welcome. And just to remind people, there is a general Advaita discussion on Sundays that's not directly necessarily tied in. I don't see any hands yet. I do have one thought then that, Venkat, wonderful, you're coming up. I'll just bring up one point that I thought was very helpful in the early part of the class today. I think the word you said is one who has overcome his desire for separateness. And I thought that, a line like that is something that for me would come forward in my own nididhyasana and my own reflection, the really subtle ways in which we actually are desiring separateness. For instance, excuse me, by holding on to certain egoic emotions and tendencies, and that there's a lot where our own ability in a path is to really see those things, look for our own. I really liked the way you said that, our own desire for separateness. So that was my one comment. If you want to speak about that at all, and then Venkat, please go ahead.
See, you are rightly said that we are by tendency, by default, helplessness. We may say helplessness. We create divisions, separatedness, and then we are crying about it. And once having created the separatedness, we do not know how to dissolve that separatedness. That is where this Upanishad and things like that will come us to help understand that you are not your physical body. You are not what you think you are. And make us understand that know what is you. You have to think about from what is that makes you you. Anything which you bring in as known to you cannot be you. Therefore, first you know who you are. For that the Upanishad will help us. Otherwise, we will not be able to know who we are. Whatever may be the philosophy or the methodology we use, there are many, many, many methods and methodologies. I'm not saying the Upanishad alone is the final word, but the Upanishad has laid down certain rules or certain prakriyas or methodology, which is very easy and time tested. So, if you are not familiar with the Upanishad, you have the other things. But ultimately, we are all made of the same thing. Whether you use a method which is not Upanishadic or outside, or whether you are using your own mentation, or the modern non-Advaitic gurus who are talking about these things. It can be used by anybody because it is not anybody's birthright that this is only available to those who are studying Upanishad. No. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is made out of that, and every Tom, Dick and Harry has got the right to know their own nature. So therefore, if we make a differentiation, it is due to our foolishness. When we know that even looking at the ordinary space as the material space which we have, can anybody exist outside the space? Nobody can. Yet, for the same space, there are wars being fought for millions of years, and it is being continued because we are not knowing what we are or who we are. Even right now, the wars which are going on in the country, in the world, is from that separation what we are thinking, that I am so-and-so, he is so-and-so. This differentiation will never solve any of the problems of humanity. Your problem is you are creating this separation. So you have to find the solution for yourself. And you cannot create the world one and the only one. You have to create the world for you where you don't see the difference, and therefore you do not treat anyone separate from you, and you have the right to be equanimous. That is akamahata, when it is talking about whether the good is being done to you, bad is done to you. You know that the good and bad is only from the adjectives or the qualifications of it. In reality, that is also Satya Jnanam Anandam. That is also existence and happiness and knowledge what is happening. When we make that unity of experiences, then only we can grow out of our separatedness or our limitations of individuality. You are rightly said that. Thank you, Atmisha.
Oh, yeah, your expression was really beautiful. Thank you very much, Bindo. Again, anyone go ahead and raise your hand if you wish to discuss today's class with Bindoji, and Venkat, take all the time you want. I'm happy you're here.
Sure. Thank you, Artemisha. Binduji, I think this is now coming together. Um, the way I'm trying to connect, in the Shikshavalli, this the Sankramati, right? Mahachamasya, that asma, that saya evam with asma lokat pritya et mannamaya matmana upasankramati. Etam pranamaya matmana upasankramati. Etam manomaya matmana sankramati. Then etam vijnanamaya atmana sankramati. Eta manandamaya atmana sankramati. That coverage um, is cross referred in that Mahachamasya. I'll just recap this in the Shikshavalli. That Mahachamasya pravedayate Maha iti tad Brahma sa Atma agnananya देवताः भूरिति वा अयं लोकः भो इत्यन्तरिक्षं सौरित्या सौ लोकः महा इत्यादित्यः. This is at a gross level, that in the loka. Then that adityena sarva loka mahiyante. With aditya, the sun shines. He covers all the gross world. Then it talks about Bhuriti va Agnihi, Bhuviti va Yuho, Savrityadityaha, Maha iti Chandramaha. Chandramasa Vava Sarvani Jyoti Gamshi Mahiyante. Then that Chandrama that covers the mental world, all of it. Then Bhuriti va Ruchaha, Bhuviti Samani, Savriti Yajugamshi, Mahayati Brahmana Vava Sarve Deva Mahiyante. Then Bhuriti vai Pranaha, Bhuva itya Panaha, Savriti Vanaha, Maha ityannam. The Anna from Annam, that all that prana get covered. Tava etas chestra, the one who knows all of this, Vrafrutayaha. That Sankramana is also cross-referred here, Binduji, and then it is recapped here in this portion of the Upanishad. That it is coming
Venkat,
together. Yeah.
Venkat, let me tell you one thing. Shikshavalli is purely for meditation. So don't bring that one. And I have not gone to this Upasankramati part of the Bhashya till now. I've only done it. Today the only sentence which I covered was Yaschasam ayam purushaha yaschasau aditye sa ekaha. Only that sentence I have completed in today's lecture.
Okay.
And the remaining things which are yet to be discussed, how the Upasankramanam means pervasiveness of this in the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and all those things, how it is being done is what is being explained in the coming classes. I'll do that. So for that, don't go there right now because I have not even touched that aspects, not the Bhashya of that. But what you said about the Shikshavalli is purely for meditation, whereas here it is for the Vijnanam, or the knowledge of the nature of what we call it as Brahma or the Atma or the Self. The Self in me and the Self in you are not separate. It is just like the space in one pot is not different from the space in another pot. The pots may be different, but the space cannot be bifurcated. Same way, the Self or the nature of the Self, which it is Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, that cannot be in no way separated out or seen in anything, because everything what we know and we do not know is inside that knowledge. That knowledge, Jnanam, Satyam, Jnanam, Ananda. So, if you look from the knowledge point of view, or the consciousness point of view, or the awareness point of view, nothing can be outside it. And when I do not see myself as a existential, conscious being, I should also see you as an existential, being awareness as your nature. But when I am segregating you, As Venkat, I am looking at the name and the form and the adjectives with which you are separating, and I am separating myself. That separation, as long as we keep, I'll be afraid of you or you will be afraid of me, or that separation will be the reason for us to have likes or dislikes and everything. But when I know that you are not different from me, in essence, in my essence, I am not my physical body, but in my essence, what I am is the same as what is there in everything else in the whole world, whole experience, what I am experiencing. How can I bring in a differentiation? When that knowledge is there, I have no liking for anything. I have no dislike for anything because nothing is outside me. So how can I like some part and how can I not like some part of me? That is the way in which one has to arrive at the knowledge and make it as our conviction that we are not what we think we are. We have to know what we are really. Then only this will settle down, become our established notion. Pratishtham vindate. That pratishtha means establishment. As who we are can happen only when we know what is that is the Upanishads telling about the nature of everything. That is why we need to do the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana or the listening of the Upanishad, pondering about it, do a threadbare logical analysis with whatever logic you want to bring in, scientific, argumentative, or any nature of it. But when it is compared with the Upanishadic statement and understand that we are talking about the existence, which is common in everything, and the existence is also known as awareness or consciousness or beingness, is not separate from existence itself. So existence and consciousness, that is that. And Anantam is the infinity nature of it. Infinite, in the infinite, everything is present. Therefore, everything is included in that. Once we know this and make us as that is what I am, not what I thought as I am till date, only will remove our feeling of there is something separate from me. And the moment I remove that feeling that there is something separate from me, I have no fear of anything. Because there is everything is that. What is that I have to be afraid of? My death? Where is death? Death is only about that of the qualifications which we are holding on to. Everything what we know as name and form has an end date. Whether it is made of glass or whether it is made of biological things or non-biological, sentient, insentient, organic, inorganic, anything you name it, they all have got an end date. But what is that which I am made is neither organic nor inorganic. My true nature is that vastness in which everything is existing. Everything else which I thought I am is with an end date. My body, my mind, my intellect, my feeling of I amness, the individuality also has got an end date. When I am not the individual, I have an experience of when I am not the individual, it's in my deep sleep. There is an existence for me when I am not the individual. So my death is not my death, but it is my resorting back to my non-separatedness, where I am all, I am everything. In my deep sleep, I am that. In my deep sleep, the whole world and the waker, or the dream world and the dreamer, is all there in that deep sleep state. But when we look at it as a deep sleep of the waker, we will never see that. Because the waker will tell the dream is for the waker, the deep sleep is all the waker. No, it is on the other way around. The waker and the dreamer has appeared from the deep sleeper. So, what is there in the waker and the waking world the dream world and the dreamer, all are present in the deep sleep state when I am not even I am. That is what is to be understood. So when you know that as your true nature, everything which is appeared as the waking world and the waker, the dream world and the dream, everything is from me. Not the individual which is saying I am the waker, not the dreamer who is saying I am the dreamer, but that which is not saying, without saying I am, being the awareness and the existence without any differentiation. No way to know anything other than because I am the only one there. It is not that I don't have knowledge. There should be something separate from me to know. When I am all by myself, I cannot say I am knowing or I am not knowing. Both knowing and unknowing is not applicable in that state. That is what we are asked to, being told by the Upanishad, to think about as our nature. That is where the Udara Mandaram Gurudev, even an iota of separation, what we do, then we will have the fear of that. We will have the knowledge of that. That is not what the knowledge we are talking about of being and knowing. There is no knowing anything other than me. Vijñātāram are kena vijaniyāt. The knower, how can he know himself? By what will he know himself? He cannot. This is what the Upanishad is talking about. Sorry, I went overboard.
No. This is I'm trying to make sense of some of this. Because it is told, Binduji. I think you made it clear. The sa eschayam purushe escha sa vaditye sa ekaha. That once established, the visibility is the Shotriya Pratyaksho Nirdishtaha. From that Gnana Chakshu, it is so imminent. This sentence, right? What is in Purusha is also in Aditya. Both are same. It is that it's a conformity. That conformity arises with the Gnanam. And what is also told that yasya eka desham brahma dini bhutani sukarhani upajivanti, is all that the Hiranyagarbha onwards, they are ashraya. They are depending on that little one drop of bliss, of that ocean of bliss. This is the Shotriya Prataksha Nirdishtaha. That established one see this way. It is clearly articulated by Shankara Bhashya, Binduji. I'm
Yes.
trying to put the structure of why in a Shikshavali like this, the same is told in a way to do upasana, and here it is shifting the whole fulcrum from the point of Gnana Chakshu. So this is I'm trying to make sense of this structure itself. That way, it is complete. It'll fall in place. That's all I'm attempting, Midoji.
Yep. So let us wait for the other and the subsequent classes where the Upasankramanam will be discussed. Then it will become clearer.
Yeah, one is that from Gnana Chakshu, I think this one, that Sankramana is told in a way to understand also. This is very clear, Midoji. Where you took it in a that Visheshana, that is also clear. The moment that variation comes in, then the multiplicity is the result of that focus. The shift happens and then one gets lost.
Right.
Here, it is forcing, it is really bringing, Shankara repeatedly try to bring you back from any variation of logic or thought back into the Brahman, that he deletes everything and he bring you back.
Right.
So this is repeatedly happening. At the same time, is there any focus required to understand the Vyakruti at all? That is the only ask here, Balaji.
See, the language of the Upanishad is cryptic in nature. That's why we have to depend upon the commentary of Shankara. But when he is explaining it as the intended meaning, in fact, there is a dialogue which is going to come up between the supposed to be the opponent and Shankara, and that dialogue is that such a way that the opponent is talking the same philosophy of Shankara, and he's saying that he's doubting whether I am misunderstanding this or whether you have misunderstood. He's asking Shankara whether you have misunderstood and trying to confuse me or I am confused. So Shankara says that let us jointly investigate this together. That dialogue is going to come up in the next class. So there, the purpose is that even an advanced person with full knowledge of Veda is finding it difficult to bring in that aspect of pratishtha or establishing himself in that knowledge, because our nature of our mind is to have ajnana samshaya viparya, the three impediments, either in the form of ignorance or in the form of doubt or in the form of misconception. These three will always be there haunting us as long as we are using the mind. At the same time, it's only with the mind we can know it. And what the mind, a mind where there cannot be a doubt, there cannot be an ignorance, there cannot be a misconception. That clarity of the thinking, when it comes beyond these three things, then that is what is called the conviction. That is what the pratishtha takes place. Thank you, Venkat.
Sure, Balaji. I think we will wait on this. Sometime when you get a chance, that Mahachamasya, his realization, means something. Is he having a Gnana Chakshu? He is saying this, or he's just giving an advisory for Upasaka. Take this path. Why would he do that? I'm yet to understand this. Maybe sometime when you get a chance, take me through this.
No, basically, Upasana is also a method. Karma, Vidya, these are the things which will bring in that what you call Chitta Shuddhi. So Upasana is recommended by Advaita also. But you have to elevate yourself to the level of Mahachamas to see the unity in everything. Without that, idaram antaram gurude atatasya vayam bhavati. Even if an iota of separation is there, then you are not understood that, because you are seeing the separatedness, not the unity, the oneness, the ekaha, sa ekaha. That is what is to be seen.
Sure, Bandaji.
So, thank you, Venkat. Ever since when I first met you in some of these rooms, 3 or 4 years ago, however long it's been, I always get a lot from listening to you. So, thank you so much. And you're going at this in a certain way that almost no one else is who comes up to ask questions. So, I think it's really helpful. We're close to the end time. If someone else had a short interaction they'd like to have, we've probably got about 5 minutes. If anyone would like to take advantage of that for discussion of this Upanishad or particularly this class. And otherwise, in respect of Bindo's time, we would go ahead and close. So is there anyone who would like to? All right. Then I think I'll just make the usual announcements, which many of you know, I know. But this is so that if there are new people, we make it easy that they be welcome. Some of you who are down in the part of the page that shows people who haven't joined the house, come here regularly. You're very welcome to just click on this house up above and join if you want to more easily find the rooms. Wednesday and Friday for the Upanishad classes, and Sunday for a more open discussion on Advaita or follow-up questions on this Upanishad. We've gone way into it with this being the 36th class, so if you're relatively new, you'll probably find a lot of benefit in the initial rooms and the most recent several rooms, but also all of chapter 2 is where all the depth has been coming out. So you're encouraged to do that. And for people who aren't aware, up above in the Dropbox are mantras, all the mantras for this Upanishad, with translations that Bindaji has selected. So they're not going to exactly match up, for instance, with the text that's in the chat that has English translation of the full Shankara Bhashya, or the commentaries, which some might want to look at. But these are all for us to study and even prepare ahead by looking at what will be coming up. Thank you, Bindo, for creating a very long document up above that has the Sanskrit, the transliteration, and the English as well. Replays are here. I won't go into more details. I think that's enough to cover it so we can close in a timely manner. Thank you for everyone who's here. There are a few people who have been in this kind of circle of people for quite a very long time. Some of you who we haven't seen as much recently but are back. Please, feel free when you have things that are really on your mind or that you'd like to express to Bindaji, please feel welcome. We all have different ways of expressing, and so don't let any of it hold you back. Bring things forward in your own way. Okay, thank you, and thank you so much, Bindaji. I think you're doing this for us really, for many of us, it makes our lives entirely different than they would be otherwise, and we're grateful to be here with you. I know I am, and to be able to support you in any way to bring this forward to people. Hari Om, and could you close us out, Bindo?
Thank you, Atmisha, and thank you for your words. It's my pleasure to be discussing this because I'm living those words myself when I'm explaining it. Thank you for who you are. And everyone, thank you for being there, because without you I would not have been discussing these things. I'm enjoying as much as I hope you are also enjoying. We'll see you on Sunday for the open discussion, and next week, Wednesday and Friday, as Atmisha said, I'll continue with the remaining part of the Upanishad. Hari Om. Namaste. Good night.
Hari Om, Balaji. Good night.
Hari Om.